Hope everybody's having a good day. Today is June 16th, 2018. Gonna talk about a few things that are really not positive to talk about, but telling truth is more important to me than sounding good, and I'll be honest about it. And we're going to talk about a dream, some of it that I had last night. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the reading of God's holy word in Ezekiel chapter 33 and verses 1 through 9, and I'm going to read those. Ezekiel chapter 33, the watchman's duties. Verse 1, again the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, speak to the children of your people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman. Verse 3, if when he sees the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people. Verse 4, that whosoever hears the sound of the trumpet and takes not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. Verse 5, if he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him. But he who takes warning shall deliver his soul. Verse 6, but if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. Verse 7, so thou, O son of man, I have set you a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore you shall hear the word at my mouth, and warn them from me. Verse 8, when I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, you shall surely die, if you do not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at your hand. Nevertheless, if you warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, and he do not turn from his way, he shall die in his iniquity. But you have delivered your soul. That's Ezekiel chapter 33, verses 1 through 9. We're going to go to the dream that I had last night, and we're going to look at that now. I dreamed June 16th, 2018. I dreamed that I had gone to Spain. And when you get right down to it, just remember the word spine. And you know, a thorn bush, you know, has spines. I went to Spain. And also the UK, and I was fishing fish out of deep, rich, dark blue waters. It was very dark. And you know, if something's very dark, you know it's from darkness. And you know, that's pointing to like you need to minister to people, you know, and get them out of the darkness before it's too late. And I admit to everybody about myself, I've been under heavy, horrible mental attack lately myself, and that's been bad, and I admit it, as I'm honest about it. And so I was, you know, catching fish out of deep, rich, dark blue waters in Spain is where I was. I caught quite a few, or it should say I ministered to quite a few is what it's pointing to. And they were crappie. And you know, like I told you, the parable God dwells in the sides of the north, remember the crop. They say crappie. And in the south, you know, it all goes south and goes to hell. That's down. It's crappy. And think like a 3-year-old. God's really like that. Think like a 3-year-old. And I know it sounds silly, but you know, it's all in parables. I kept hearing this word, and it was all night long, just kept on all night long throughout all of my dreams. The word was Paschal, P-A-S-C-H-A-L. And I looked that up, and it had to do with Pentecost and Passover, of being born on Easter. And Paschal was the word I kept dreaming, and I haven't thought about, I heard about that word a long time ago, but I would have no reason to dream it because I had not thought about it, you know, before I went to bed last night. And so the dream changed to the house where I grew up. And you know, my mother was there. My mother passed away in 2015. And she's having a lot more fun than I can imagine today because she went to heaven. And you know, I had bought some fireworks, and I feel that that's pointing to the 4th of July, trying to say something. And I saw them at this house, and they were like the pretty ones, and I had gotten a whole bunch. And in the dream, I was just tired of this, you know, being limited, just no growth, can't go anywhere life. And you know, I was frustrated that I just couldn't do anything anymore except basically dream everything. And so then I asked my mother, you know, in the backyard of that house, you know, in the backyard, like I've told you, represents, you know, the past. And I asked her, do you know any place other than here or my apartment where I can go so I can go do something again? And you know, Jesus is the only place where you can go do something again and get out of the backyard to the front yard, you know, the future, if you want it to be good. And so I asked my mom, where can I go shoot these off? And my mother said, well, I'll go check. And there was like a week before the 4th of July, which I feel means is a short time. And I remember I was just so tired of my stunted life where I just couldn't do anything I wanted to do because it just seemed everything was just hampered, restrained, and blocked. And then I heard that word Paschal again. Paschal, however you pronounce it. And then when I woke up, you know, I still kept hearing Paschal. And one of the fireworks, you know, they were the square kind, and I just seen the word Haribo written on one of the fireworks, H-A-R-I-B-O. And you know, come to find out, you know, that was a German gummy bears company. And you know, think about it this way, you know, Russia's that bear, and you know, California's that bear. And people sadly don't see it, but you know, that relationship is pretty sticky. It's gummy. You know, that's gummy bears, Haribo, you know, on the fireworks. And when Babylon goes down in an hour, there's fireworks on that. And sadly, America declared her independence and said, we don't need God anymore. Not what you want to hear, but I'm just telling you the truth. Never seek me though, go take that to God in prayer, ask him to confirm, not Chad. Another thing came up too. This is not positive, but I'll tell the truth. The conviction, I'll confess it. That word was Chernobyl. There was another YouTuber that dreamed Chernobyl. And then I was like motivated, burdened in my spirit. Chad, go watch a documentary on the Chernobyl disaster. So I got on YouTube, and there was a documentary. It was just under an hour long about Chernobyl and what happened. And it was like within the first 10 minutes I called home. And think like children. Chernobyl, on the number 4 reactor, did a safety test. Well, just remember, you get in the Bible, the only safety found is in Jesus Christ. Other than that, there is no safety. So it was a safety test. And the overseer, this other guy had come in, from somewhere and was just real proud of his achievements. And I just said the word, America is very proud. And go read Proverbs 16:18, that pride goeth before a fall. And real high up, and the people, that ran, in that nuclear room or boiler room, control room, whatever you want to call it, that ran it every day, that were used to it, this other guy was calling them idiots, and got them all messed up. When the proud didn't know what they were talking about, and thought they did. And sadly, the pride, at Chernobyl blew up, in their face, and it caused, a whole lot of other horrible things to happen. And in that documentary, there was 2 outside the plant that were fishing. And we're supposed to always be fishing, for the Lord Jesus Christ, because we never know when our last day, might be. And if anybody's failed in his sight, it's me. And I would literally, if I stood in front of him, I would just have to tell him the truth, that I felt like I was one of the worst ones. And I couldn't blame it on anybody else but myself. And I feel like that. But their pride blew up in their face. And sadly, so will America's pride be humble. Just like Chernobyl. And I think it's 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 11, where they had the whirlwind. And so did Chernobyl have 211 control rods. And if that's not plain enough, I don't know what is. Think like a 3-year-old. And there's some other things here too. I dreamed twice in 2013 this phrase, and it said this: China will attack America for anger over debt. It said that twice. The dreams weren't in the same night, but both of them were in 2013. Well, the number for Pentecost is 50. And you had yesterday 50 billion, in tariffs, that they were talking about giving to the Chinese yesterday. And there was a bunch of trade war stuff last month, too, or it wasn't very far back. Another thing I'm going to talk about is insurance. How you have to have insurance on your car and all that stuff. Just remember that a car is a chariot and there's no real insurance on it. unless it's Jesus Christ. And we have the Mideast Peace thing. You know, I'm not saying that peace deal will be released next week. I'm just saying I've heard that Kushner and Greenblatt are headed to the Mideast to try to negotiate, you know, over all the stuff at the Israel-Gaza border. And they're going to negotiate, and like I said in the video the other day, I think it was, March 17th of 2018, I had this dream where I was watching the news and the banner said at the bottom, Trump reaches Mideast Peace deal. Jerusalem divided. And it was like a few nights after that, I dreamed another dream that I was watching a tornado warning come in, you know, heading right straight my way. And a voice in that dream, it said, for they have divided my land. And I dreamed, like, after that, a couple more dreams where I heard the phrase, for they have divided my land. Now that first one where I saw the blue news banner, where it said, Trump reaches Mideast Peace deal. The TV in my dream said that, and it was just so clear. I mean, in vivid, blue banner with white letters, Trump reaches Mideast Peace deal for Jerusalem divided. And then the next scene that came on that blue banner changed and said some other word, and it was real clear like that. And that word was Teaserville. Like you tease somebody and then V-I-L-L-E. It said that when it changed to the next frame, the banner changed. And in that thing, the dream changed right after that to America being reduced to rubble by a huge earthquake. I mean, there was just rubble everywhere. And I know that this is not what anybody wants to hear, but these are the things that I'm getting, and I'm just being honest about it. And the best thing to do is cut a blood covenant with the Lord Jesus Christ. Remember, He is our Passover lamb. I think it was Exodus chapter 12, verse 11. You know, read about that. He was our Passover lamb, and, you know, they painted the blood on the doorpost so when the angel of death came, it would pass over. And, you know, that was when they smote the firstborn in Egypt. You know, when Pharaoh, you know, was jacking everybody around. And, you know, that was going on. And Chernobyl means wormwood. And I don't know, I just confess what's on my spirit. Wormwood means the spirit of death and the smell of death, sadly. And I wish that I could make a better video for you, but I'd rather tell the truth because I have believed God at His Word of what He said in Ezekiel 33 to tell the truth and deliver your own soul. Just tell the truth. I mean, the things, according to what the Bible said, reveal that the things right now coming out of the mouth of the Lord are not positive. And I'll just be upfront about it. This is just my opinion, but this is how I feel. Only an opinion. And take it to the Lord in prayer, because it's a heavy one. I feel chances of judgment on America are high risk for next week of something happening. And I don't know if you know, but there was trouble at the Hoover Dam yesterday. This armored car, blocked the Hoover Dam bridge and backed traffic up, and that's the dam, that holds back Lake Mead. And it was weird that like 3 or 4 days before that the word, Lake Mead, was put on my spirit. So I looked at several YouTube videos of Lake Mead, and it said the water level was just critically low and stuff like that. And then boom, that happens at the Hoover Dam yesterday, and it was saying the only time that Lake Mead had ever been full was, I think, 1983. It went over the spillway. And then what's even crazier than that is to come to find out a mead is an alcoholic drink, and boom, it hits my spirit, America's drunkenness again. And the waters are dried up, and then you go to Isaiah 21:1 and read about the burden of the desert sea. And I'm sure you can figure everything else out from there. It's not that hard. Just take it to God in prayer, not to Chad. And I think it was Revelation 8:11 in the Bible. It said, I saw a star, and its name was Wormwood or something like that. And wormwood, it's put on my spirit, has a horrible stench and is the stench of death. And I think Chernobyl means wormwood, and I hope everybody does now have a positive video and give their life to Jesus Christ. And if all the people were just say to see me in heaven, they would see me tell Jesus that I felt like the worst failure and the one that failed him the worst out of any of them. I really do feel like that, and I admit it. That I feel that I have sinned and fallen short of His glory that bad, as if I would fall on my knees and tell Him that I was sorry, and really mean it, though I couldn't help it. And just remember to make a positive video, make a covenant with the Lord Jesus Christ, go love Him and accept Him, because then when this happens, it doesn't matter if it's wormwood or not, you won't have to have death, because He's already tasted death in our place, and He'll give you life, and you'll have it forever. And just remember, He is the Passover lamb, so the angel of death passes over and keeps going, and you don't have to have death and hell. Hope everybody has a good day. Sorry I had to be so negative. But that goes back to Ezekiel 33. If I don't tell the truth, I'm guilty. And I know I'm guilty if I don't tell the truth, and it's just not good right now. Didn't promise anything would happen next week, but I feel, in my opinion, not a prophetic word, but an opinion, that it's likely a high risk next week. Yeah, my spirit's burdened, and I'm being honest about it. Hope everybody has a blessed day and makes a covenant with the Lord Jesus Christ so they don't have to have wormwood or Chernobyl.